I gave myself 10 hours to learn how to pick a lock. This is something that I've never tried to do before, but I've always wanted to learn. So I picked up this cheap lock picking kit from Amazon. It comes with a translucent lock so you can see how the locking mechanism works. It also comes with this lock picking tool set. I will use these first to learn how to pick this lock, and then I will lock myself in a room in my house with no option other than to pick the lock. Nobody's home, nobody's due home for another 48 hours, so if I can't pick my way out, I'm stuck there, I'm stuck there, I'm stuck there. I'll consider this challenge a success if I can learn how to pick this lock and then release myself from the locked room in my house. Let's start practicing. So here you can see the tension rod which you put in the lock so that when you use this tool to push up the cylinders inside, the tension traps the pins and gets them stuck in the correct position so that the lock can open freely without the key. So this is my first attempt here. I'm going to put the tension rod in. I'm going to be applying pressure with my ring finger and pinky as I push up the pins with the picking tool. Thanks to the translucent lock, it's very easy to see when the pins are in the proper position. You want to be super aggressive with this tool and really jam on it. If you're not risking breaking the tools that you bought, then you're not picking your lock properly. Boom! There's my first picked lock, and it took about 45 seconds of real-time practicing. There's the second time opening the lock, which was another 15 seconds or so. So really easy to open this translucent lock. All right, so I'm about to lock myself in the basement. I'll have to pick this if I want to come up this way. Here's another locked door, or another lockable door. Gonna lock that. Now I'm locked in, and no one's due home for 48 hours. Here's the key to this door. And we're gonna slide it under. Let's get to picking. So I think a part of me thought that I was on a survival show because I've brought no food down here, no water. I left my phone upstairs, no access to a bathroom here. So overall, great idea. In retrospect, I probably would have changed a few of those things, but here we are. 48 hours, no food, no water, no bathroom, no phone. Unbelievable. That was 1 minute. I'm locking the door again. We're doing that challenge again. So did I say 48 hours or 48 seconds with no water, food, or bathroom? Boom! Open. So yeah, this is a much easier challenge than I thought it was going to be. It's a little disconcerting how easy it is to pick locks. I'm wondering if a front door lock would be more difficult to pick than this. So we're gonna find out. So we are now at my front door. I have it right here. This is the main door to my house. You can see that we have a deadbolt here. I'm going to leave this locked. I'm not gonna lock myself out of the house because it is raining outside. And I just don't want to. So I'm going to try to open this deadbolt, tilt the camera up so you can see my lovely face. And I'm going to attempt to pick my deadbolt. So I'm thinking that the deadbolt is much harder to pick than the other locks. I can hear the locking pins moving up, but they seem to fall back down immediately when I take pressure off of them, even though I'm keeping tension on with the tension bar. So I'm thinking that there's some additional mechanism that makes it more difficult to pick a main door lock like this. I'm gonna do a little bit of research and see what the deal is with that. Based on about 45 seconds of research, it seems like deadbolts operate the same way as every other lock, so I'm gonna keep trying. So I don't know if you can see that, but I was looking in the lock. You see that pin moving up and then coming back down? If I apply tension, like I did with the other locks, and then move that pin up, I can confirm that it does just fall back down. You can see that that came back down there. So there is something else I need to figure out with this lock. And my 45-second Google search didn't turn up anything, so I'm not really sure where to turn next. My first thought is that maybe it needs more tension. So this lockpicking kit came with a sturdier tension rod. So I'm gonna swap that out and see if that helps. I can still feel the individual pins, but none of them are moving. I mean, this does make me feel kind of good about the security of my house. I know this is possible to pick this, but if somebody's sitting in front of my house for 15 minutes wiggling these little metal pieces in the door, I'm thinking that someone would notice and they would not be able to gain access. Maybe a different tool will help. I have this like jaggedy tool, which this is called. The other thing is I don't really want to damage my lock. I feel like I'm really scraping here. Also, if my wife watches this video, there was a problem with the deadbolt before I started doing this. So, all right, so I'm at my back door here. I have the deadbolt here. So the lock on my front door is actually a much more sophisticated lock, which is great. I will need an additional tool for that. Here is just a regular deadbolt. So I'm going to lock this. I'll put tension on it, use my tool. Bam! Back door broken into. So it turns out lockpicking is way easier than I thought it was going to be. In just an hour and a half of real time, which included moving the camera around and setting everything up, I was able to move on from this simple lock that came with the lockpicking kit to picking a door in my basement, and then finally to picking a deadbolt on my back door. So with just a half hour to 45 minutes of actual practice, I was able to break into my back door with no issue at all. I can consistently open this lock within just a few seconds. I can get the lock in my basement in under a minute consistently, and the back door I can now consistently do if you give me a minute to a minute and a half. It's slightly more difficult to pick a deadbolt than it is a simple padlock like this, but it's a little disconcerting how easy it really is and how little practice it takes. And how accessible these lockpicking kits are. So if I've learned one thing from this video, it's that you should get a high quality lock that is not pickable. Even though they are pickable, you just need additional tools that might be more difficult to get than this $15 kit from Amazon. I will leave you with a quote from Aunt May from Spider-Man: "With great power comes great responsibility." If you decide to pick up a lockpicking kit and learn to pick locks as well, just make sure that you do it responsibly and only pick locks that you have keys to personally. Overall, this was a super fun skill to learn. There's a ton more to learn too. I was doing some research on the more secure deadbolts that you can pick, and there are some crazy locking mechanisms that these companies use to prevent people from picking into them. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any of my future challenges, and I'll see you next time.